Very nice, everyone. We should be seeing people drop in.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Hello,
everyone.
Martin, Florian, Jérémie. We're going to do it.
Hello.
Hi.
Excited
Hi.
to be here.
Lovely to be here.
Just going to wait 1 minute before everyone dropped in. Probably some people closing off their meeting, logging into this one. One of those days, Q4. It is November. Hello, everyone. We'll be starting 20 seconds, 30 seconds or so. We're just warming up. Very nice. Should have some elevator music here as well while we are elevating CX. We don't have it. All right, guys, shall we get the show on the road? Ready?
Good.
Let's go.
So,
Great.
everyone joining us from all over the world, welcome. We are here from TheyDo, taking over the CX Network live webinar, which is really cool. My name is Jochem. I'm the CEO at TheyDo. And today I'm joined by one of my co-founders, Martin.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. He's
Hi.
our Chief Experience Officer and leading our customers to journey management greatness. And also, we brought two pioneers in this space with us. So we have Florian Vollmer, former service design director at NCR and now at Autodesk.
Hey, so excited to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And also from ADEO in France, we have Jérémie. Hello, Jérémie.
Hello.
Very good to have you. So what we're going to do today, we're going to take you through some of the basic principles of how you can truly elevate CX. That's obviously the theme, the goal. I know many of you are in a CX leadership position, trying to put the customer at the heart of your business operations. And today we're going to talk about how this is actually accelerating in many, many big companies right now at the global stage. So Florian will share a perspective, Jérémie will share his. We're going to offer some insight into what our customers are doing. But before we do that, maybe it's good to set the stage a little bit and why we are here. So I don't know if everyone who is joining us today has also seen that the CX Network came out with a report on the step from journey mapping to journey management. And the cool thing is, as this is a live webinar, you can go and download the report if you haven't done it in the resources section below. So if you go to your Zoom screen at the bottom, you will probably see a resources button. Click it, you'll find the report over there. But I'm sure many of you have read it and have seen it. And that is a nice framer of today's conversation that we are going to have. But before we dig in, let me give you an outline of what to expect today. So we'll go into like, what is journey management? Why is it taking off right now? And what is going on in a lot of companies right now that are elevating their customer experience? And also tap into like the road to maturity, because journey management, as many of you will know, is not something that you will implement tomorrow, even if you want to. It takes time, practice, and bringing the whole company together around the customer. And today we'll hear stories from the field, how that is actually going in ADEO's company at NCR, and perhaps a glimpse of how Florian is now building it at Autodesk, who he has recently joined. And at the end, we'll take 10 minutes for Q&A. And this is also for you, tapping into this webinar from home, from your office. If you have a question as we go, there's a Q&A button in the bottom. Please use it. Just add your question there. Our team will make sure that we bucket the right questions together. If you have a question for me, for Martin, for Jérémie, or for Florian specifically, just make sure that you type that with your question so that it is clear to us also how and who to ask it to. Anything goes. I'm sure we have more questions than we can cover, so I'll try to get everything in place. But if we don't, no worries. We're going to give you the recording and we'll answer all the questions that are unanswered in our post-production. So that is a little bit of setting the stage. And just for people wondering like why we are here and what we are doing. And I'll let Martin introduce journey management in a little bit. Like what we're now seeing is there's this whole movement going on in the enterprise that has the potential to like be bigger than Agile, where Agile has this internal focus of operational efficiencies. Most companies completely lost track of their customers. So now putting the customer journey at the heart of operations, we're actually, and with we, I mean like the CX network, our customers with TheyDo, but also the practitioners in these companies, we're creating this whole new idea of journey management that potentially is bigger than Agile, because it just flips the equation for how your business is performing and looking through the lens of your customers, why you're doing what you're doing and how you should actually be impacting the customer experience. So that's what we're going to set the stage for today. But let's dig into the world of journey management. Before we do that, Martin will take us into like what's going on, and then we'll open up a lively discussion between the four of us. So Martin, will you take us through like what is journey management, how to mature in it, what are the dimensions, and how to think about it to give it some color?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for the nice introduction. So over to the slides. Can you see it well?
We're good.
Lovely. So this is based on many years of working in this space in CX, but also now launched TheyDo together with Jochem and the team about 7 years ago. And these are the sort of experiences we have now collected across the years. Obviously, everyone in this, I would say, audience knows what this is about. It's bridging the business goal with the customer expectations and needs and so forth. How do you do that? Well, many of us work with journeys and we're collecting a lot of different data. But what we have seen over time is that the more organizations grow and the complexity also increases, this data lives in so many different spaces. There are very, very few ways of actually scaling this. We see a lot of companies coming to us and talking about Miro, Excels, PowerPoints, and PDFs and so forth, but also big data, so quant data living in Salesforce, Qualtrics, and so forth. How do you orchestrate and create a great overview where everything and everyone is aligned? So that is something we are trying to fix, and I think journey management is on a really, really good path to address. Additionally, what we see is that there are many different efforts across different companies, large and small, that are trying to look at the customers, but from their budgets, their KPIs, and their sort of siloed perspective, right? So you look at the support team looking at their customer, marketing at their customer and their problems and so forth. But when you do that, you look at the world around you from your perspective rather than from the customer's perspective. So how can you align everyone and work in a collaborated way? And that is also something we're addressing from TheyDo. So what we are actually able to do with layered journeys and dynamic content across journey frameworks is that we are able to look at the horizontal, big holistic perspective of what the actual customer perspective is of your business. So you look at your business from the customer perspective in a sort of storytelling journey context. Now, when you do that, you can start to truly collaborate and really know what to prioritize and what to work on, small and large strategic or tactical decisions you need to make. So what you do is you centralize your content in a journey context across dynamic journeys. You standardize the workflow of how you're prioritizing opportunities that you need to act on, and then you are able to manage and distribute those decisions across your different teams. Bear in mind that the teams that you're working with do not have to change much, because through the opportunities that you have identified, they are aligned, and therefore they can still work in their verticals, but because they are working in aligned opportunities, you are actually avoiding sort of double work and are way more efficient. So what we're setting up is not just a journey environment, but actually a whole sort of methodology of working together. So we do normally start with a business goal. It might be a KPIs, OKRs, again, tactical or strategic objectives you need to solve. That defines how you structure your journeys. Can be many journeys, few journeys, large end-to-end journeys down to detailed journeys. And across those journeys, you identify opportunities for improvement. So in a traditional service management terminologies, this would be the how might we's, right? Those are then prioritized based on how much value they unlock for the business and for the customer. And the customer can actually be anyone, right? Can be your partners, employees, whoever. And once you know which one you're going to go for, you then distribute those across your different departments and verticals. And those verticals are then, giving you the best solutions they are able to solve and attaching them to your opportunities. And that way you're working in a coordinated way around solving your business objectives. So what you can say is that we have actually digitized the triple diamond. I think everyone is very familiar with these. So these are the flows we recommend people are actually taking in a journey management context and working with TheyDo. And actually what we have done is that all of these processes and steps and building blocks have also become our core features in our tool. So we work with personas, insights, metrics, goals, opportunities, and solutions. And we are now also attaching and injecting quant data that we can directly inject from, for instance, data warehouses, Qualtrics, et cetera. So you also have the business performance available at your fingertips in a journey context. So that is quickly about journey management. Now, how do we go about scaling it and actually helping our customers and our participants to really apply this at scale? Because that is what really unlocks ROI. The larger, the better. And the more different teams involved, the bigger impact you have. Well, what we have done together with our partners is to identify sort of a level 1 to 5 sort of maturity, journey management maturity scale. So through taking a test, which you can do with a link that we have also provided, you can assess very quickly at what level you actually are. And what we can do is that you help strategically from a governance perspective to help you move from, say, level 1 to level 2 to level 3. So instead of working sort of in an ad hoc way, in a siloed way around customers and their needs, you can start to collaborate in a more coordinated way. Maybe you're focusing on solving tactical challenges across different sort of 1 or 2 verticals. And the more you progress, you are able to actually organize and structure your company around working with journey management and customer-centric data. And we have actually identified 6 key pillars that help you to get there. So we're really addressing leadership and to what extent you get top-down buy-in and sponsorship, your process of how you actually have CX to lead and create the priorities around what you need to solve next. Tooling, how to integrate tooling into having data injected into this way of working in a most efficient way. And of course, we're also working with AI, so it can also be sped up to actually translate transcripts and NPS surveys within minutes rather than weeks. So tooling there is also very essential. Framework, how you frame your journeys, how you structure everything in the most efficient way and also in a scalable way so you don't reinvent the wheel over and over again. Data liquidity, quality, accessibility, and easy to understand, and also how fresh it is. That is also something we're looking into. And something we should definitely not forget, culture and people. So to what extent do you have the right mindset and also the buy-in from bottom up to actually make this not just a sort of trial and experiment, but truly do this across your whole company? So across these 6 pillars, we can very quickly assess on what level between 1 and 5 you actually are. And you can have, of course, different maturity levels across these. And then we're helping you setting up a roadmap and help you govern how you're actually scaling this so you can really apply journey management at scale. And this is how we actually look at. So we have created a very, very detailed sort of roadmap that we actually have in TheyDo. So every customer gets a sort of a roadmap that we then attach a sort of, specific. Florian can tell us about that a little bit better in the detail, but how can you make this actionable and roll it out? And this is not something you maybe change in 1 or 2 months, but we're talking about a little bit more longer trajectory. But we have done it now with many, many different companies of different sizes. And we have started at level 1 or sometimes at level 3. So we've seen it all, and we're excited to share you a little bit more in detail about how Florian and ADEO has experienced it so far. Thank you.
Nice, Martin. Thank you for sharing. And what we're actually seeing, this was like journey management 101 in 10 minutes. For some, this is already like bread and butter in companies. Others have like customer journeys mapped out in all these different tools. The data lives here, the data is there. So there's all these different steps that a company takes to bring the customer journey in the heart of the operation. And this doesn't happen overnight. This was a great overview of seeing like how the space is evolving and what is actually necessary. But maybe we can dig into like what the early stages look like, how this evolves, and how fast this can go. Also, knowing large companies don't move that fast, but there are ways to speed this up, obstacles to overcome. So maybe Florian, we can start with you. Like, you've been doing this for quite a while. You even teach a course at Georgia Tech, or a whole curriculum, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, on journey management and service design. So take us back, like all the way where NCR was coming from before you started putting the journey in the heart of your operation, and how you've been building this out, and what some of the big challenges on getting the leadership buy-in were, and how you're actually step by step progressing and achieving your business outcomes, because it's not about internal alignment, but really like deliver value to your customers. Like, paint a picture. Like, where did you start?
Yeah, let me paint a picture. So if you're not familiar with NCR, NCR recently split, but before that, it was a $6-7 billion company serving the banking industry, the retail industry, and the restaurant industry with solutions to actually run those respective businesses. So a wide portfolio of different technologies and offers, growth through in-house innovation and acquisition. So a pretty diverse tech stack as well, and a global footprint. So a complex company, right? A little over 4 years ago, I joined the experience design team within NCR and said, hey, okay, let me help with service design, the traditional service design, journey mapping, mapping out the journeys for better product experience, for better market experiences, CX experiences, partner experiences, whatever the case may be. And we did that, and we did really well, and we influenced roadmaps, and we influenced marketing touchpoints and all that good stuff. We measured things over time, but it was in a variety of different tools, right? And it was always this manual effort. And what we recognized quickly is that there's duplication of effort quite a bit. So early days was actually Florian building an Airtable database, saying, hey, can we not connect these things a little bit? Can we not have build an actual journey map in a database, connect some pain points to it, connect some metrics and outputs to it? And while that worked, it wasn't usable inside of the company. So we found TheyDo about 3 years ago, early days for TheyDo as well. And the superpower for me was seeing all these different entities that Martin just shared earlier, that they are dynamically connected. So if I change a persona over here, it cascades through the system. If I make a change to a micro journey, it flows up to the related macro journeys and those high-level executive views. And that, of course, makes the workflow a lot more integrated, takes waste out of the system, takes duplication of effort out of the system, and allowed us to do things like cataloging all of our tech capabilities and saying, okay, the many tech capabilities that we have, what experiences do they drive? How do we optimize those tech capabilities while still continuing to improve the experience? And last but not least, it really helps us sort of looking at the customer experience, looking at the partner experience, the employee experience, the user experience in a more holistic way. The pathway to it is early, humble beginnings. And talking about it a little bit, getting a little bit of high-level buy-in, and then rolling up the sleeves and just demoing the approach, taking a few pilot journeys, as it were, and really putting them into the framework, and then going around with different stakeholders, design, CX, product, engineering, and so forth, and say, hey, see, if we do this, we can make your job a lot easier. You can get to better decisions faster, right? You have more visibility to what's actually being delivered against this pain point that research found out over here, all those kinds of things. But in my world at NCR, there was a lot of one-on-one conversations initially, evangelism, until we got to a point where we built out an internal training program and democratized the approach.
Right. And what is the state of journey management at NCR right now? Just to give people a sense of like, who's working on it, how many journeys, what's going on, like what is the state of it?
Yeah, there's several hundred journeys on the platform. There's several thousand insights on the platform, almost 1,000 combined opportunities and solutions that are managing execution. So that order of magnitude. And in terms of the maturity model that Martin showed earlier, I would peg that in the high threes right now, mid to high threes. And you know, that allowed me to say, okay, the team is in a good place. There's a core team that's driving journey management. There's an extended matrix virtual team that's really bought into the approach in product, in marketing, in CX, and so forth. And that team is taking it forward, and felt for me like I've done the heavy lifting. I can now go explore other things.
Nice. I want to go we'll put a pin in that for like on leadership. Like we're gonna come back to it, but first want to move to you, Jérémie. Like there's many ways to get started. What I hear from most of the people that are doing this in organizations, like you need to have the holistic experience in your mind where everything fits in, just like Florian says, but start with a set of journeys where you can actually impact the customer experience. There's a lot of pain or a lot of revenue potential. Where did you start? Where did your journey start, and where are you taking your teams?
So for ADEO, we are a retail company, and we have to provide solutions, digital solutions for our stores, our employees, our collaborators, and also our partners. And we have a strong UX culture. So basically it started from the UX culture. And we have troubles with tools like Miro because everyone was working on journey maps, but it was siloed. Sorry if you hear the dog behind me, because I can do nothing about it. And the problem was that we can't like collaborate if we have journeys with passwords that we didn't even know that they exist. So the first step for us was to find a tool that allows us to get everything at the same place. But not only, because what was interesting with TheyDo also is that we have also a real product management culture inside ADEO. But products in ADEO have to work together because we have a strong ecosystem. So basically, it was also solving that kind of issue of making products talk to them to everyone, so that the journey they are on can be lived more seamlessly and not by their products, which were breaking up the experience of our customer collaborators and also the suppliers. So it started really from the bottom, I would say. Then we also had our UX leader that started to talk about it to top management. So we tackle it both ways, but mostly bottom up.
Right, and this is more of the process of getting there. I'm curious, maybe both of you can speak to this. Like, what will be the insights that you gained from having these journeys at your fingertips to actually navigate the complexity of your organization? So say like, hey, we should focus on this, and here's what we're building, and here's the results that we are getting from that. Can you give people a sense of some of the insights that your team uncovered by doing this work in this way? Do you have an example that comes to mind? Maybe we can go to Florian, that you think about it, or you have like something on your mind right now just to help everyone to see what this can lead to.
Yeah, the big one that comes up is, and there was multiple points of origin in the company were bubbling up, and it showed up on some strategy document, but ultimately control panel strategy to say, okay, you know what, we want to have all the configuration of all the software pieces in one place and more web accessed than we had in the past. That would be a big one that came up for us. And we were able to evidence that through scored opportunities, through scored solutions, and say, you know what, that really is something where the company should put their resources in. That would be one of the very specific examples.
Yeah, I like that. Jérémie, does some example come to mind where you found unique insight through all your journeys and thinking through what that means for your customers?
Yeah, for me, it's one example when the two designers, they came together and they figured out they were working on the same exact journey, not from the same perspective, and they understood that finally they don't have to do the work again. They can just take the journey that is existing and just fill it with the right insight and start to collaborate. So what I've seen is a lot of people not knowing each other from different departments, different disciplines, starting to connect and collaborate. And for me, that's the best insight I have from now.
I love that. I think that's really good, because this is such a common problem in a lot of large organizations that there's the best intentions, but because to Martin's point, like we're siloed, we're working on a solution, and then we realize someone else is doing the same thing, and we ship the same thing or similar things twice, 3 times, or even try it again. After last year, we tried it as well, and we didn't deliver that. I think that is such an important, it's a hidden, but an important benefit of collaborating around journeys rather than roadmaps and business silos. But you're coming from a UX perspective, right? Florian, you come from a service design, CX perspectives. Would it be fair to say, like in both of your companies, like these worlds are now blending and overlapping, or are we still a little bit siloed? Like where would you say are we?
Yeah, I'd say it's forming the bridge. The approach is forming the bridge between CX and UX and allowing people to truly collaborate in a way that weren't able to do before. And just to go back to the previous point for just a second, how powerful is it if I'm as a service designer go into a journey and identify an opportunity and say, you know what, how might we do X? And I type that statement in, and the first thing that they do it actually looks for all the opportunities that are on the platform and says, hey, is this maybe the same opportunity? And then I can say, who owns that opportunity? Let me talk to that person. So that's one way collaboration actually operationalizes. And then I'm a huge fan of any entity has an owner, so can quickly see who the owner is. And the third one is just the add mention. So all the collaboration that Jérémie and Jochem described, all that can happen in workshops with a heavy lift and who should be an attendant and all that stuff. But in this new post-COVID world, what I find anyways, is that there's a lot more hunger for asynchronous collaboration. That doesn't replace workshops, right? But workshops are really happening when it truly matters. And sort of the detailed work can happen in more and more asynchronous. And there is some really powerful functions on the tool that I've become I can see how to work without it any longer. That took us a little bit away, but that is the connection between the world of CX and the world of UX and the world of partner experiences. And in my previous job and now in my new job as well, the employee experience. Not to forget, we cannot create world-class customer experiences if we don't create really great onboarding experiences, if we don't empower our frontline actors. And we're driving journeys that have that employee as a core persona in the journey.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, one thing that I could also add very quickly, to what I'm seeing at an early stage, what large corporations very quickly realize is the level of fragmentation across different sort of processes and verticals as well. I mean, there are very rarely a large corporation that has already their personas figured out across the whole company, or what is actually a journey versus a service blueprint or a touch point inventory map, because that is not something that many call journeys, but it actually isn't, right? Another thing that is really interesting is that you very quickly can also figure out mapping everything into one sort of framework context is like, what do we know and what we don't know? So what kind of decisions can we very quickly make based on validated data or actually assumption-based data? So we can very quickly, at a few clicks, really zoom in and out and know very well, like, hey, 70% of our customer experience is currently to us unknown. What should we do about that? And that is a great starting point to really know the scope of where you are and how you can evolve that as well. So there's a big, quick benefit that you will not get in Miro, for instance.
Yeah,
And
I think that's
just to rebound on that, it's exactly what happened also, because we figure out that some part of the experiences of our customer, we didn't get anything around that. So now we know that we have some holes in this knowledge, and we need to focus on that. So this is what also TheyDo is allowing with the journey management, is to figuring out that we don't know everything, and there is some specific steps of our macro journey that we need to focus on, that because we have nothing right now.
Do people find that scary? Like, I can imagine, like, big companies, like, oh, we have all the data. Like, people are like confident in that. Like, do you see people get nervous around that?
I wouldn't say nervous, but I would say like more excited, and also like the haha moment where, okay, we know what to do now. So I think it's more around that.
Yeah. Wanna back to the audience a little bit. Curious, like, you hear Jérémie, Florian, Martin speak a little bit about this. I'm putting the dimensions on the screen, back on the screen again. What are, maybe we can pull it out. So to get to a mature organization, like from where Florian says, like at 3, like leadership is in place, like journey management becomes integrated. Those 6 dimensions are in a varying different way, well in place or not in place at all. I'm curious if we can pull up the poll. So in your organization, what is the biggest challenge? Maybe while people are polling this, is it on leadership? Is it on introducing process, having the right people and culture in place, even thinking through like the frameworks, how the customer lifecycle is broken down, or the employee lifecycle is broken down, or your data is not ready to support end-to-end journey governance, or basically lack of good tools in place in general? Like, which dimension is the biggest challenge in your organization? But I'm also curious, Florian, you just joined Autodesk. You have seen what great looks like. You're building great again. Like, what is the biggest challenge you're facing today?
Yeah, I'd say so. Caveat, we're still very much in the discovery phase right now, so I'm not going to speak to specifics here. But it's interesting to see the results coming in and seeing the leadership leading, so to say. And that resonates with me. Like many companies out there will say, you know, we're a customer-centric company, and then invest in design somewhere. But this missing piece in the middle, operationalizing customer centricity, that's where the biggest opportunity for this approach sits. And that's also where, for an in-house person like me, perhaps the biggest communication challenge sits. And I can talk about that in theory all day long until I prove it. Until I prove the approach, it's very hard to grasp that there's actually now an emerging class of platforms and approaches and processes that really help bridge that gap.
Nice.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, sorry, go on.
No, I wanted to read out the results. What do you wanted to say, Martin, before I do it?
No, it's supporting what Florian's saying, and saying also, you know, that leadership is really leading on the responses here. Is like top down and also bottom up is definitely necessary to make this successful at scale. And what does it actually mean with leadership being involved? I mean, sponsorship, releasing time for people, you know, working with this. We see that being a very, very common problem is like people truly CX and UX really, really want to do this, but they get this as an additional task to do next to whatever they do, you know, normally, right? And if you really have the ambition to do this fully, you need to really get focused and even maybe introduce new roles, which also leadership can help with. So very recognizable here.
Nice. Jérémie, you're scaling up right now. What is your biggest challenge? What is the main obstacle you face next? You're on mute. You're on mute still.
The main obstacle for us, I think it's more about like people and culture. I'm not saying we don't have a culture of customer centricity. I'm more saying that it's change, and change in large companies takes time because you need to change your habits. And from what I've seen, it's the most difficult things to do. But when people are convinced, when they see the value, usually they jump in, and it's going really fast. So I'm really hopeful for that.
Nice. Where do you think this is gonna lead your company? Where is the future? Like, if you I'm sure you've put a pin in like 5 years from now. Like, what is your vision for this?
Well, that's a hard question. I think it's going to lead us to better customer experiences and to really tackle this omni-channel experience, 5-star experience that everybody's talking about, because we will be less siloed and more concentrated on the journeys that has the most value for our customer, but also for the company. Because nowadays we can work on multiple ones, but we are not sure. I'm not convinced that we are working all the time on the one that really matters.
I like that a lot. Where do you want to take it, Florian? Like in your new job, or where you hope your former team is taking it? Like, you can take it however you want.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is there is a functional group in the company somewhere that has to drive this forward, right? philosophy-wise, that needs to be a community of practice. It needs to be a group that enables cross-functional stakeholders in a way that has a very different feel than a center of excellence or, you know, some centralized command and control entity. I believe it's something that is empowering, enabling, coaching. Those are the approaches that are right to get more and more people collaborating, and connects me to the second one here, the process, right? And I think there's a lack of understanding still. It is well understood that CX is generally a management activity, that you manage CX over time, and that CX is automated, and there's not really more and more automated, and that not really distinct start and end points to projects per se, but it's an ongoing effort. In the UX world, and we live in a world of projects with a start and end point. Journey management transcends those two a little bit, and we have to get into this world of borrowing from agile, right? But being in a world of regular cadences, intentional cadences, to manage and improve those journeys over time. Otherwise, we're back in the project mindset, and that's not going to help us much. And the community of practice is a key to that for me.
Like that a lot. I think that's good. So one of the things that we're seeing companies now growing into is bringing their operational data in to start taking that next step, right? We're coming from CX, so we have like CSAT, we have NPS, we have all our nice customer-centric metrics, but all of a sudden we have like performance data and business data and all the modeling that goes behind it. What if we bring that together? And I think that will be the next step in the evolution for many. Like CX in a lot of cases is becoming a nice to have. And I'm saying that with the best intentions, right? We all work in CX in one way, but that is the reality. Like now the market is down and we're under a lot of pressure. Where's the ROI? What are we supposed to deliver, and how can we connect the dots? And I think like the other trend we're seeing, bringing that together in one way, so you can break down your performance into what the customer really needs. That is the holy grail of CX. But I'm seeing companies now acting on that, which is a promising signal. So with that in mind, knowing we don't want to keep everyone not being able to meet their next meetings, shall we do a few Q&A, live Q&A, and see what we have? Let me bring up a few. So how do you keep track? I'm going to do a little bit random, like whoever gets to answer it first. How do you keep track of the assumption-based data versus validated data? Is a question that's coming up. Anyone wants to speak about that? It's very technical. I'll bring it up strategically in a sec.
In DataDo itself is fairly easy, actually, because you can very, very quickly tag all different journeys with different statuses. So you can very quickly identify that this journey is based on assumptions rather than validation. So you can very quickly filter across your whole infrastructure of journeys and say, I only want to look at your validated journeys and filter everything else out. So that is a matter of a few clicks.
Is that a problem you've tackled as well, Jérémie, Florian? Like, can you speak about assumption-based?
On my side, we tend to have only the validated insight inside TheyDo. So we prefer to have the quality first inside it. As we are feeding it a lot, it's better. So we have less work to do afterwards, looking after the ones that are not validated and stuff for now.
Got it. The other question that is coming up, which I really like, is like how to communicate to multiple stakeholders adapting journey management. But the second part of it, and build an operational model. I think that is the crux of this, right? It's not like mapping it out and understanding what the customer needs are and doing this at scale, but it's like building a reliable operational model that people can actually use and like to work in. It seems, Florian, you've been taking NCR to a good place. What is the trick there?
A few things come to mind. One is building an internal set of roles, as it were, and build a give and get model, and say what does a project manager get out of it and put into it? What does a program manager get out of it and put into it, and so forth, like data analytics, that could go on and on. But being very intentional and saying this is the kind of value you get this is the kind of value we need you to give for this to work, right? And then obviously baking it into a design and innovation process. And what we spent a lot of time with NCR, we had a product lifecycle management process. The company has that. And I spent time with leadership over there and say, okay, for this role at this moment in the PLM process, this is what we're going to do in terms of journeys. This is what we're going to do in terms of insights and opportunities and so forth. So that was the backbone of our model to operationalize it.
Nice. And can you speak about the actual procedures, the ways that you are codifying this in at NCR, like what works, for instance?
New product discovery, for example. You know, we at some point we had to say, look, you cannot do new product discovery without having a journey with well-researched pain and gain points and user needs and so forth. Then releasing funds for the next iteration of a product. Typically would ask for a journey to look at with updated metrics, those kinds of things.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that also works, maybe I can reach out to Jérémie and you also, Florian, to confirm, but think big, start small, scale fast, right? It's also like identify key sort of core team or end-to-end process that you can have full ownership of in this kind of journey management context. And then implement and lead by example, right? Do rather than talk, and then iterate, and learn. Because one model that fits maybe, say, NCR, maybe doesn't necessarily have to fit ADEO, right? So it's also about growing on top of the culture you have and enhancing what truly works, and then identifying your weaknesses and struggles, and then iterate. I think that is also a great way.
And iterating on the process itself.
Exactly.
We built one taxonomy model, one overall journey architecture model that we thought worked, and then we hit like a major wall with that, and we just had to redesign the very model. It was, you know, maybe a couple of weeks of my team's time to do that, but that stuff happens. You can't predict the future necessarily.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Question for you, Jérémie, on I think Eric Ellis and Bartholomew, I hope I pronounce it right. I'm sorry if I don't. They ask similar things. They're about like, what best practices can you recommend to the companies in burgeoning states of journey-driven customer experience to get more mature? Like, just try it. And Bartholomew says, like, there's a hunger for a user-centric approach in the company, but the muscles aren't built yet. Advice? Question mark. What would you say?
Well, I would say just test it, try it, but also maybe start to discuss a lot, because for me, it has been a lot of discussions, like coffee breaks and explaining the concept, then taking it to talks in the company, or making external people come to do the talk for us in some of the company events. So people start to see, because one trigger for us was really when I remember Ting came in one of our summits inside the company, and then everybody from the company, from the stores to the BUs to anyone, could attend physically or virtually. And it really started to spark interest in many places. So it also helped to have like multiple countries starting to reach out to us and wanted to use the tool. And then it's really more easy to align people on the insights, on the same journeys, but for different countries, but starting from the inside then, and having the same model for the journeys. So I think it could be a good opportunity to do that.
Cool. Segueing into the pin we put in leadership, Florian, I promise to get back to you. And John Kennedy and Mike Larson have a few questions around that. I think like it's about how to tell the story to leadership. So John asked, like, what tips do you have when pitching the idea to the C-suite? I focus on top-down benefits over bottom-up. Like, what's the best narrative? And Mike says, what has been the aha moment that captures the minds and results in their sponsorship to make it an organization-wide initiative? Like, what would you say? Like, what is the narrative? What works? Like, how do you grind their gears?
Yeah. Simplifying the approach is, I think, really, really important. Seeing a fully built out framework with all the information is maybe not the right approach. So let me just start there. What has been really successful for me is showing a very simple graphic that says the journeys are at the heart and center of how we operate. And then we have a set of repositories on the input side and a set of repositories on the output side. And all of that is interconnected. And if I change something over here, it has a ripple effect. Okay, that resonates. What resonates is we have, thousands of pieces of insight, CX insights, BSC and the like, more qualitative UX insights, data analytics, product performance, that kind of stuff. It sits all there. We design interventions. The attribution with traditional tools is really hard. Which insights have we acted on? What at the end of the day, what is this project actually based on the insight side? So it's saying, you know what, dear executive, you can actually trace that back and step through that. That is really powerful. And last but not least, this scalable approach and saying, you know what, if we all align that this is where we're going with the overall approach, we can just keep doing what we're doing, just not do it in Miro, but do it over here, ideally. But do it with this view inside that ultimately will connect all these journeys. And that answers one other question: how small do you make a micro journey and so forth? You can nest these journeys and you can back up into the executive overview over time, as long as you have the initial taxonomy, sort of the mental model loosely aligned. So those would be three things that come to mind. And then recently we've really talked more about, okay, here are the kind of things that have a top line impact that will help renewal rates, that will help overall customer satisfaction, and with that maybe increasing price elasticity, that kind of thing. And then below the line, right? What are all the different things that this approach can do to drive efficiencies? And then more recently, I'm now quantifying those and saying, okay, if we do this across this group in this company, what may be the dollar impact? And that number resonates.
Dollars always resonate, especially in C level, right? But that's really hard to do. But I'm curious, like maybe we should do another round, like how to quantify all the way, like top line revenue or operational efficiencies back to those little journeys. What does your leadership say, Jérémie? Like, what got you the green light? Like, what got them excited?
So I think the thing that got them excited is that they can have an overview of the customer experience, a real one, where they can filter with NPS and other metrics around those journeys. And also now they are mainly waiting for like the big example, the big like success on one journey. So we are building that right now with the CX team also to be able to provide that and then to spread it more quickly, even more quickly.
I think we
Jochem, can you bring up the chart with the goals on the top? Because there is a really good question from Mike Larson here. Is about like, what is our experience working with large enterprise customers and transforming their customer experience to connect with leadership, and how leadership can pick up on this. Mm-hmm. So the one going up, that one. What I think, learning from my experience guiding large corporations, is that not everyone looks at journeys, especially C-level. They are not focusing on journeys specifically, but they want to look at what they are used to. So with TheyDo, what we can do is we can actually talk about goals, like specific OKRs, KPIs, whatever measurable things you need to implement. And then we can connect opportunities that derive from those different journeys. And you can actually look at what are we going to focus on next and why, what are our priorities, what journeys and insights they are deriving from. But I think back to the question is like, talk the talk people are used to, right? Don't force them to look into a journey because they don't understand journeys, but rather focus then on business goals with C-level. Talk to PMs around opportunities, talk to POs around solutions, and of course, researchers and so forth, focusing on journeys. So you have that palette of tools that you can actually use to get the right buy-in with the right people. Because working with journey management is not only about CX, it's all type of different roles within an organization. And sometimes you even need to hire new ones, like journey orchestration, journey owners, and so forth, that is coordinating everything as well. So that would be my answer to that question.
I think that's a really good perspective.
I would love to add something, because for me, what's amazing about journey management as Martin said, it's not only about CX. For example, I've been formerly working in the supply chain, and you can also work and align people on the big supply chain projects regarding the journeys of the supply chain. So for me, it's really, really amazing to see that we can also use journey management on the operations of the stores of the company, and not only for CX, but also for all those kind of topics.
How do you solve collaboration? Maybe like not necessarily on the operations part, but like in general, like you, Nami, I hope I pronounce it right, asked like, it is essential for experience management, but each department uses different project management tools. Like, how do you keep everyone across the different departments in general, like informed across these initiatives? Can you speak a few words of like how you actually do it, Jeremy?
So for today, it's mainly done with Jira on the delivery part, but the missing link is always the context. So then this is where like TheyDo is happening, because it can provide the context, and when you start working with enterprise architects, you can also see the capabilities that we need to be able to manage a flow or a process which we can transform into a journey to be able to manage it. So this is what we are doing, like trying to have delivery, but also making sense of the delivery with the journeys, with the context that the users, the collaborators are living in the operations, in the company, and for the customer also.
Is it similar at NCR, Autodesk, what you're seeing, Florian? Like any practical advice you would give to the audience today?
Yeah, I think the one key thing is, obviously in an enterprise setting, integrations are key. But like Jeremy said, this is sort of one click up, the place where you make the connection and get context. So my journey into integrations has always been bi-directional linking, and just say, okay, from an opportunity within TheyDo, I may just simply link to a Jira issue or to a project in Asana or to something on product board or whatever it may be. And then I'll ask those people to do that from over there as well. And, you know, do a micro taxonomy to make sure that there is not really redundant information or two places to keep information up to date, being intentional about that. And then the same thing upstream on the data sources and so forth, but just integrations come over time, right? There's a semi-manual step in between.
I want to switch gears for the last bit of today. I think Pasi Kalakowski having a nice question to set us up for a nice ending. It's going to be a big one, so I'm sure we all need to weigh in on this one. But he has a point. So he says like the terminology in this area isn't very stable yet. So what do you think about the differences between journey management, journey ops, journey orchestration? Are they the same? Are they different? And I think just to weigh in a bit before you grind your brain on answering this a little bit, there's also like Forrester, right? Journey centricity is coming along. Then we have value stream mapping, which is an adjacent field. There's a lot going on, but maybe to focus it a bit, I think like journey orchestration should be kind of out of the equation, because it's like touchpoint orchestration, sequencing a bunch of marketing collateral, if I may, like using AI or not to make sure that you touch the customer. We are taking what journey management and journey ops are kind of proposing, which is the internal focus, using the customer journey at the heart. I think that is the first distinction we can make. But there is overlap. Like journey management is a term, journey centricity is a term, journey map ops is a term. What do we think about the language in this field? Like this is the whole thing about like this movement that's going on. Like we don't have a language, we should be creating it. We like to call it journey management, but I'm sure people have different opinions. What shall we say about this, guys? Let's end on a high. Like I'll go around. Like, what do we think? Who wants to start?
Well, I mean, I can start quickly because I'm talking to many different large customers worldwide and small and so forth. And yes, the terminologies are still fairly fresh, but what we're seeing is that there are a lot of different businesses out there that are looking for a solution to their problem, and the problem looks the same almost everywhere. Doesn't matter what industry and what size and so forth, what region, global, local, etc. And I think everyone benefits. The more we are concise in actually calling it the same thing, then everyone who is looking for the solution will look for the same term to find a solution for their problems. And that's why we are here at this CX opportunity webinar to preach the gospel. And it happens that we call it journey management. Would someone else, and there would be a movement that would call it journey ops instead? Great, because this is for the best for everyone, right? That would be my take on it. But of course, the more teams and people and different departments and CXers, UXers, leadership, etc., that use the same term, the better.
Yeah, I think we ought to ask ourselves, what are we describing here, and what is the most accurate term for what we're describing, and what is the huge delta to what we did before? And to me, that is management over time. There was not an approach, not a tool that actually made that possible in an intentional way. So I'm squarely in camp journey management, because it makes it very clear to our executive stakeholders, or any stakeholder for that matter, that we are up to an incremental improvement process over time. Part of that is journey ops, actually, right? I put together a little org chart here from a new environment, and I have a few operations people in there that I need, right? Okay, cool. But the bigger activity is journey management, allowing various design disciplines to come together and design the next iteration of the ideal customer journey in an intentional, incremental, iterative way. I don't think that's a better term than that.
I love that.
Nice, Jérémie. What do you think?
Well, I'm like blown away by Florian's speech, so I think I totally agree with him.
I think that is a nice way to put it. Like, the operational part of journey management is necessary, but it's a management approach. It's a philosophy to deliver the experience as a whole, as an entire company, which also speaks to everyone working with customer journeys, but also everyone navigating the strategic horizons of the business in the leadership teams. And with that, I think this is a nice segue to our end today. Do you want to know where your company stands on the road to mature journey management organization? In the resources section below, there's a nice link, free resource you can use. It's basically taking these 6 dimensions we've been talking about and helping you to do a self-assessment. Like, where are you on this road to a mature journey management organization on all the 6 dimensions, giving you a nice snapshot of where you are today. Fill it in for your company or for how you think the company should be or should behave. And you'll get a nice spider graph of your results, which is a nice way to end this and see where you're going. With that, I want to thank you, Florian, Jérémie, Martin, and the CX Network for making this happen, for having us take over this nice webinar space. Is there anything else we should tell the audience before we leave? Anything we didn't cover? Anything you want to share with people that they can take home before we leave today? All good?
All good.
Big, start small, scale fast.
Very nice. If you want to know more, reach out to the CX Network, download the report, do the journey management scan, see where you can go, and we'll see you on the other side of this. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you, guys.
And
Thanks.
have a lovely day, evening, or morning, wherever you are. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.